This is Sarah, Bach editor. I'm here with Ben Gothard, who is one of our new community council members. This series of interviews is designed to help citizens get to know their community council and community leads. So we're going to jump right into the first question for Ben Gothard. Give us a rundown of your pre-crypto background and experience.
And by that, do you mean experience before crypto or crypto experience
before you made it into the Web3 world? Yeah, give us the lead up before you got into crypto, and then we'll get into the rest.
Gotcha. So it all started actually when I was about 6 years old. Got introduced to video games, and I've been a gamer ever since. Played a ton of, in the early days, Diablo 2, then moved into World of Warcraft. And then like always, like the Call of Duties and the Maddens and Guitar Hero and, things like that kind of on the side. But, your main game, you have your side games and you have like your main game. That was World of Warcraft for the longest time. I was a hunter, of course, and then eventually became a paladin, which was super fun. Hunter was, of course, on the horde side. And then I got corrupted and joined the alliance. And I continue to take shit about that, even to this day. But anyways, after that, then moved into playing a lot of League of Legends. And I was a jungler and absolutely loved that game. At one point in my life, I actually competed and started trying to go pro, and started winning tournaments and leagues and moving up. And then unfortunately, I hurt my wrist, so couldn't keep going with that. But gaming's always been a big part of my life. Always had a lot of friends who've been gamers and absolutely love to compete. And I'm a competitor at heart. So that started when I was about 6 years old. I started investing when I was about 16. I'm actually Jewish and I had my bar mitzvah, and, you get a few $1,000s here and there. And then, like you make money as a kid, however you make money as a kid. So I put all that together and convinced my dad to open up a Fidelity account so that I could invest and trade. And I just started to get into the market when I was about 16. So that started teaching me about compound interest and the idea of investing and saving for the future. And what really the important thing there was compounding and the power of compounding and just doing things today that are going to benefit you tomorrow and continuously making progress and improving. And bit by bit by bit, if you do that every day and you keep rolling that snowball down the hill, you can create extraordinary results as an ordinary human being. So that started when I was about 16. Then in college, when I was about 20, I actually started my first business. It was an accident. I had 2 phone calls at the same time. I was going to be a certified financial planner because I really love stocks and investing. And I got these 2 phone calls. One was from my roommate who asked me to help him sell t-shirts. And the other one was from my dad, who at the time had a law firm and wanted me to help him with social media. So I was like, wait a second. Both of these phone calls at the same time, there's something here. So I told them both, I'd love to help you. But instead of hiring me, hire my company. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to start a business. And I literally thought to myself, I'm like, I may waste like $1,000, but at the end of my college career, I can actually say that I'm the legitimate CEO of a legitimate legally registered business. And that sounds awesome. I was thinking like how to pad the resume, right? That's my mindset. That was my mindset at the time. So I started. And I wasn't getting paid for the first 2. I was just helping them out, learning what was going on and learning about social media. And this was early, like 2013, 2014, roughly. And so it was very early in social media, and especially with paid traffic and with organic reach. And so I started, focusing on like the Facebooks and the Twitters and blah, blah, blah. And so I started, and then something cool happened, which is I was still doing my certified financial planner track, but I went in to go talk to the head, and I was at Louisiana State University. Went in to go talk to the head of the finance department, Dr. Carlos Lawson. I'll always remember that name and what he did for me. I went in asking about the CFP track, and I left and accidentally had landed the LSU Department of Finance as my first paying client. And so I was off to the races, and I started landing other clients. I started hiring some people, and really started building my business and built a marketing agency out of that. That was Gothard Enterprises, the first iteration. So I was building that, scaling that out. And in the meantime, I got a little bit distracted, as people do. And I started writing books. And I got sold on this idea of passive income on a YouTube video I was watching one summer. And I started writing, and I was like, oh, I'll just crank out an ebook in 48 hours and speed write it. Like those 3-paragraph essays or 5-paragraph essays you write in school in 30 minutes. It's like, yeah, I'll just do a couple of those and toss it in a book and publish it, and here we go. And so then it took me a year to write the book. And the first book here is called CEO at 20, A Little Book for Big Dreams. And that was the one that I published. And so then I became an author, and I was like, oh, sweet. And so I remember like the day that it went live on Amazon, because when you self-publish, you can put it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and blah, blah, blah. I didn't tell my mom that I was doing this, by the way. And so I actually called her and I was like, Mom, check your email. And she struggles with technology. It's really, it's a real struggle for her, but she figured out how to open the email, and there's a link there. And I was like, all right, Mom, just click this link. And I didn't say anything else. So she clicked the link, and there's like silence. And she's like, oh my God, did you write a book? And I was like, hell yeah, I wrote a book. I'm surprised. And so, just little things like that, like kind of
fantastic.
Make it worth it along the way. And so I was doing that. And then after that, I decided to start a group for entrepreneurs, because I figured I'll listen to the group's problems and I'll write books to solve them. How arrogant of me to think I could solve all of their problems, myself. But what I realized was, by listening, that they knew how to solve each other's problems. And that was a big unlock. And so kept growing the group. And then that turned into the podcast, where I would interview the knowledgeable people in the group, and just kind of ask questions from some of the problems I had heard, and kind of try to like match up questions from the group to questions I'd ask on the interview. And that started the first podcast. And so that really started my podcasting career. Fast forward a little bit and just kind of close those loops. I've probably published 6 or 7 different books. One of them hit Amazon #1 bestseller. I've done 600 roughly podcast episodes to date. I've interviewed billionaires, New York Times bestselling authors, Emmy Award winners, just amazing people like Grant Cardone, Patrick Bet-David, etc. Really, really lucky to have been able to talk to some of the most incredible people on the planet, and taught me a lot. It felt like kind of like an MBA, where you get an hour with these people, or sometimes more. The longest interview I ever did was about 6.5 hours. I went and interviewed the last Jewish gangster. It's a whole side tangent there, but it was like the most intense and awesome interview ever. Drove 20 hours up to New York with all the equipment in my car, and did that whole interview in this former gangster's house. He's like taking calls, talking to Argentina, and I'm like, am I gonna make it out of this freaking house, or like what's going on here? But crazy awesome experience. So you never know where podcasting is going to take you. So anyways, wanted to close the loop on kind of where those things are. The podcast is still alive, rebranded all the different shows into BGTV, and scaling that out now. In the meantime, I was doing all these different things. I also launched a music festival here in New Orleans, where I live, and having a lot of fun. I had some e-commerce stores, having a lot of fun, doing a lot of different things. But I was like, I need to focus. Actually, on the interview with Grant Cardone, I flew out to Miami to interview him in his studios, meet him in person, and he challenged me at the end of that interview. And he was like, "What's your biggest passion?" I was like, "This show." He's like, "That's where you're fucking up." Because the last question, I was like, what should I be asking you? He's like, you should be asking me where you're fucking up. And so I asked him, and he's like, the show's where you're fucking up if that's your biggest passion. He's like, you're never going to be the best. And even if you do, you're never going to make a ton of money doing that. So I was like, shit, Grant, he's calling me out. I got to step up my game, got to get better here. And so, by the way, I tremendously appreciate that. He was not being mean at all. Like, he's being very direct and actually trying to help me. So some people are like, oh, I can't believe he would say that to you. What a dick. And I'm like, actually, he's probably been more kind than most other people in my life who have been like, it's great, and not actually like challenge me to get better. So I just want to
honesty can be the best gift.
100%. So, yeah, so I just remember like I was staying with a buddy in Miami, and we were out in the ocean. I think it's an ocean, whatever the waters are off of Miami, just floating there. And I was like, okay, I got it. So I knew what my big thing was going to be, and so I decided to end everything else and create a startup. And that startup was called Life Mastery Foundation. And the idea behind that, and I learned this from a mentor years ago, was that everything in our lives can be boiled down to and understood through the lens of the 7 core disciplines. I remember them with the acronym SIP fire as in taking a sip of fire, but it's spiritual, intellectual, physical, financial, industrial, relational, and emotional. Everything in our lives falls into one or more of these 7 core disciplines. If you think of another one, let me know, because I've been asking people that for about 5 years now and nobody has ever told me anything. So I'm convinced it's only the 7, but open to more. So within these 7 core disciplines, then you add the power of compounding. And if you figure out what's important to you within these 7 core disciplines, and then you take action steps every single day that lead you to generate progress, moving you towards those goals within your 7 core disciplines, then it's a framework to prioritize and move towards the things that you care about. And it gives you the best chance of hitting those goals at the end of your lifetime. Right. So, for example, a physical goal may be, maybe more like routine oriented of, hey, I want to work out every day or I want to work out 5 days a week for 30 days or for 30 minutes a day. And so that could be your goal. And so as long as you do that over time, you're compounding your muscle mass, you're compounding your learnings of how to work out, you're getting into the routine, you're building your ability to be disciplined and stay consistent. A lot of really good things come from this framework and just, implementing that on a daily basis. So that was the underlying thesis I wanted to build a company around. And I thought, what better way to do that than by doing virtual summits talking about these topics or different topics within the framework of these 7 core disciplines. And it was perfect. And it was basically like doing a whole bunch of podcasts all at the same time and packaging them into a virtual summit. That's in essence of what it was. So I knew how to do a lot of that stuff. And so, so I started building, and I had a co-founder, and he was up in Canada. And so we started building this thing called Life Mastery Foundation. And I scaled that up to about 120 people. This is from the end of 2019 to about middle of 2020. Started scaling up. We started getting a bunch of customers, started generating some real revenue. I had never, by the way, been at a founder of a company with that many people that were working for us. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to manage 120 people all at the same time, but it is supremely fucking difficult. Like, it is very, very hard. And it definitely stretched me beyond. And I did all the hiring myself. And I just remember hiring from 8 a.m. to the morning until 10 p.m. at night, and no breaks in between. And if somebody bailed on an interview, I would try to go eat. And yeah, it was crazy. It's just a crazy growth period. Learned a lot. Unfortunately, when COVID hit early 2020, people stopped buying tickets to the summit. And so, unfortunately, we went out of business. And the most difficult conversation I've ever had was having to tell all those people, I'm very sorry, but you do not have employment anymore. That sucked. We did try to help all of them, go into their next opportunity and find their next job or position or gig or whatever it is that they were looking for. But that totally sucked. But you learn a lot from that perspective. So at the same time, my grandfather had stage 4 skin cancer, and I was helping him out as one of his main caretakers. And so he also passed away at that time. So it was just like a double whammy. You lose your business, you lose your grandfather, and he was one of the people I was closest to. It just sucked. So then after that, I kind of took a little bit of time. I started working with other businesses. And so I went and became the vice president of business development, or vice president of partnerships rather, for this group called Dropify. They're a e-commerce software company, Inc. 5000, fast growing company in America. Really, really great company, and really did some interesting stuff in the e-commerce space. Pioneered this idea called supplement on demand, where I brought this supplement manufacturer who also had a fulfillment center as well, and brought them together with the software. And the software basically helped you import products into your Shopify store, and automated when there was an order in, you could just click a button and it would fulfill that order for you and send out the product. So bringing together the supplements model into the drop shipping model and giving custom branding with no minimum order quantities was a really big innovation for the e-commerce nerds out there. And so helped to pioneer that with them. And so set that up for about a year. That brings us to early 2021. Things were looking good. Everything was great. And I recently moved in with my now fiance, and out of nowhere, thank you very much. Out of nowhere, February 21st, 2021, my dad has a heart attack and dies just out of nowhere. He was literally the person I was closest to. He's my best friend, in addition to being my freaking dad. So that just crushed me. I mean, it was horrible. And I still you still replay shit in your mind, and it's just it's torture. It's torture. And so I had a long period of grief after that, and I probably took 6 to 9 months, and I really did nothing. I just play. I say did nothing. Like I played video games just consistently. Like I started a game and play League of Legends like I say 12 to 15 hours a day. I mean, it was not very healthy. But that was the time then I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go pro. And so like I started a brand and I started streaming, and I, started joining a team and did tournaments. And luckily I was able to travel a little bit. I'd made some investments into a couple e-commerce stores, and was just kind of able to like not really work for the almost a year. And anyways, this whole time, like, my wrist started hurting, and I go to the doctor. The doctor's like, no, you can't do that anymore. You'll permanently damage your wrists. I'm like, okay, it's time. It's time to get back into the game. Then I discovered crypto, and now we're at the like middle to end of 2021-ish. In the middle of 2021, one of my partners in one of the e-commerce stores was like, hey, there's this e-commerce crypto company that needs some help with marketing. Like, do you want to come help? And I was like, I don't know anything about this, but sure, why not? What's up? And so basically I went and joined this company, and I don't know if y'all can imagine this, but like imagine the absolute most ridiculous shitcoin that you've ever come across, right? Just picture that in your mind. And then that paired with this crazy, not very well thought out e-commerce business, and then trying to combine those two. And it was a total shit show. And I happened to be in Costa Rica at the time, so like the internet was a little spotty, and I was trying to help this group out. And it was the most ridiculous introduction to crypto, like the depths of shit coinery, and just, it was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. Like there were people that were part of that project that were like devs, and they would create these contracts and just randomly launch coins. And the contracts would like, every time there would be a trade, they would siphon like 6% of the whole trade as a tax, and just keep it in their dev wallet and just be like, hey, this is the risk of shitcoining. I'm like, oh my God. So I started realizing what was going on. I was like, I don't really want to be associated with this. But then I was interested in crypto, and mostly because it was traded 24/7. And I hated the fact that stocks had this trading window that was very limited. And so I just kept doing research, and I learned about it. And I had all this time because I stopped gaming, and I discovered crypto trading bots, and I was using 3 commas, and I discovered that you could literally get technology to trade for you, and that was crazy. That opened my eyes. And so I started playing around with it, and I started trading like 100 coins all at the same time. No idea what I was trading. Not very smart, but it started to make money. Obviously we were in like, the middle to later stages of 2021. So we're in the middle of a bull market. So you trade a bunch of stuff, and, in a bull market, like you're going to get lucky. So then I was hooked, and I started to like figure out like, hey, there's real money here, and I want to learn more about this. And so I started to do research into what I was actually trading. And that's when I discovered the intersection of gaming and crypto. And because I've been gaming so much, I was so tapped in, it made complete sense. And on the spot, I created the Crypto Gaming Institute. And I just started devouring as much content as I could. That was my 3rd podcast, where I started interviewing people in the top, top part of Web3, and had a couple of like top 100 CoinMarketCap founders on, and just a ton of top people, and about 100 of them, I just started interviewing them and just started learning and diving deep, figuring stuff out and learning about everything. It was awesome. And then I learned about Neo Tokyo, and got introduced to Elliot, and reintroduced to Alex. I'd seen him a little bit on YouTube like years before, and then kind of popped back up like with crypto gaming stuff. And then that was really the turning point of like, I was like, oh my gosh, I see the metaverse. I see it coming, and NFTs and trading and coins and all this stuff. Like, this is where I want to spend the rest of my career. And like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I needed to like work my way in and figure out how to do that. So I actually joined this mergers and acquisitions firm, because I had burned through a lot of my cash in the year off when I was born to my dad. And we were buying marketing agencies that were positioned to excel when Web3 and the metaverse really took off. So like data scientists and statisticians and developers and programmers and conversion rate optimization and all this kind of stuff, like in traditional marketing and all that kind of stuff. So all of that, I was doing mergers and acquisitions and getting closer and closer to the space. And then early 2023, that took me to early 2023. Early 2023, I kind of had this like stint of, okay, I don't want to do the M&A stuff anymore. So I left, and I was just kind of like looking for different opportunities and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I had bought into Neo Tokyo. I did not figure out the riddles. Y'all are much smarter than me who figured out the riddles. Kudos to you. I couldn't figure that out. So I bought in and I kept accumulating, and now I've accumulated like 5 S1s and 3 S2s and a bunch of bytes, and the bytes yield is absolutely ridiculous. And anybody that's not staking and generating bytes, like, you should probably do so, because the yield from the bytes, like even dumping at floor prices, covers basically all my living expenses. I live pretty frugally, but like, that's called retirement, guys. Like, when your passive income covers your living expenses. So don't sleep on byte yield. Anyway, so then from early 2023, when I left the M&A firm, then I had this like brief stint where I created this health insurance agency. That was kind of a nod to my dad. I wanted to like take on healthcare for a second, because a little bit more details on that. Like, the doctors fucked up. They sent him home when they shouldn't have sent him home. And I was literally in the hospital fighting them to keep him in there. It got to the point where if I kept fighting, like, they probably would have had to call security on me. And I regret that. I should have fought, call security on me. I don't give a fuck, because I'd rather have my dad and be in jail than not. But anyways, healthcare is fucked up in the US, and I wanted to fix that. So I built a supplemental health insurance agency. Not going to talk about that too much, but that's in my Web 2 life. I'm working on that. And then it just so happens that Citizen Capital is like, one of my favorite parts of Neo Tokyo, because I really believe in our mission of becoming the Illuminati of crypto gaming in the metaverse. And the way to become the Illuminati is to own a bunch of stuff. And the best stuff to own are businesses, and the best businesses to own are the ones that you can get in really early on. And so just doing early stage VC deals is like perfectly aligned with what I see as one of Neo Tokyo's strongest suits, because we have the greatest network in Web3 and crypto gaming. And so we can then channel that together and buy into these wonderful, wonderful projects early on. That's how we're going to do it. And so, I was honored to be able to come on to and be a part of SitCap as the chief marketing officer, and to be able to actually work to support Neo Tokyo and all the citizens is pretty much a dream come true. And I've been just sprinting on that ever since. And that's kind of how I got here.
Amazing. I think we just rolled through the first 3 questions. So is that where you're spending most of your time right now?
I think a lot of people in Web3 definitely spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things, and I probably no different. So just to kind of dive in and add a little context there, the first and foremost, my main responsibility is as a co-founder of Nexus Labs alongside Hustlepedia, who runs the In the Game show and Crypto Banter. We're building out an omni-chain multi-wallet portfolio tracker with a ton of additional what we like to call money-making features. So anytime a retail crypto gaming investor is looking to perform their research, manage their portfolio, do anything and everything related to crypto gaming, they can come to us, and we've got the best suite of tools for them. The impetus for that came from observing in the marketplace where there were a various number of different technologies to do all of your research, do all your portfolio tracking, and on the different chains with all your different wallets. And so we wanted to build a place where people could come to, and now we're very close to launching. And by the time you're listening to this, lovely listener, watcher, individual, we will probably be live. In addition to that, I also am a part of the Neo Tokyo ecosystem. Deeply love Neo Tokyo and everything that we stand for. I truly believe in our vision to become the crypto gaming Illuminati, and for all intents and purposes, I think we are there. And now it's just about maintaining our position and continuing to compound in that direction. Within Neo Tokyo, I'm part of the leadership council, as are you. You're a legend as well for that. So part of the leadership council, I also run the AMA division alongside of Mr. Crypto Atheist, Nick, another legend. And of course, there are more than just us two in there. Want to give a shout out to all the citizens there. Hogshead Cheese, Lack of Vegetables, La Boomington, Photoshopped. And anybody else that I did not mention, I do apologize. Of course, the peripheral folks that work with us to get it done, including some of the people behind the Neo Tokyo social media who we work closely with. Just want to give a shout out where shout outs due. And then in addition to that, and that includes both the AMA and the podcast. And then in addition to that, also spun up a new division called the Neo Tokyo Syndicate. And we help to introduce projects looking to raise capital to a network of investors that we've put together who are looking to deploy capital. And so we're helping to make those connections, and really just we stop at the soft introduction. We never touch funds. And so, we're just making introductions and helping out and connecting people. On that team, in addition to myself, is Chronicle and SDC. And those guys are absolute legends for that. So do a lot of things, but fortunately have amazing team members to work with. And I can't say enough about how grateful I am for those team members and the work that we do together.
And I know I see you hustling like mad every day in the Leeds chat. And for the citizens that can't see that, I know we would all extend a sincere gratitude for all the work you do over in Neo Tokyo. And since you touched on the leads, let's talk about specifically why you wanted to join the leads or the council.
Yeah, I mean, I think naturally I feel a sense of obligation to want to make sure that the things that I'm a part of are successful, and that if I see something that I want to make happen, like I want to just go after it and give it everything I've got. And so I actually saw a really interesting opportunity where a lot of partnerships were being talked about being built between Neo Tokyo and other communities and projects. One of the big reasons why I wanted to become a leader, council, whatever, was to help facilitate more partnerships internally within members of Neo Tokyo. Like, we are not just Web3 creatures. We also have Web2 lives and Web2 businesses and Web2 contacts. And so if we come together and say one citizen is a business owner looking for something and another citizen is a vendor that provides that thing, as long as it's equal or better quality and equal or better prices, the citizens should do business together. Done. Like, that is a thing that should happen, whether that be Web 2 or Web 3. So one of the things that I really wanted to push is building partnerships between citizens so we can truly become interlinked. So that's something that I feel very passionately about. Also, I've just always drifted to want to be in the room where it happens and want to help out and try to do my very best to make things as awesome as they possibly can be. So I was like, hey, I went on a mission to meet all the citizens. I DM'd probably 2,000 people to see if they would get on a one-on-one call with me and just meet and talk and see what's going on. Probably done close to 150 of those one-on-ones because not everybody has the time or desire to get on a call, or not everybody's active on social media, whatever. But after doing that, I was like, there's some amazing people here and they have a lot of great ideas, and I want to push those ideas through. So I wanted to become a part of the leadership of Neo Tokyo to really bring the ideas from all the people that I heard and bring that into the forefront, and then have some of my own ideas as far as like this idea of being interlinked and building partnerships between citizens. And I just want to go to work for you guys and gals, because I love Neo Tokyo. It's my digital home. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be a part of this forever, and I want to make it as awesome as it possibly can be and do whatever it takes to help us achieve our goal of becoming the Illuminati of crypto gaming in the metaverse. Because I think we're right there. We're so close, and it's just within reach.
And so citizens know, someone that doesn't know Ben P. Gothard, give us a little bit, of why they're going to reach out to you on the council. What's your expertise, your strongest area?
Yeah, I think probably the thing that I just really care about I care about this. I care about what we're doing. Probably one of my strongest areas is on podcasting and media and content creation, as well as partnership building. And so, yeah, anything around that, anything about AMAs, anything about building partnerships, anything about, like I said, media or anything like that. Happy to help wherever I can. Even if I'm not super good at it, you can still reach out to me for it, because I probably know somebody who is, and happy to always point you in the right direction. Either I can help you with it, or I can make the introduction to somebody who can. So I'm happy to help wherever I can, whoever needs help, whenever possibly can.
Amazing. I know we just at the news team talked to you, and you had some great insight with all of your experience about multiple ways to monetize and bring on a little more content and engagement, and it was really appreciated. Give us a little idea of what you hate working on.
Yeah, so the things that I don't really like are the things that are like the super duper boring and monotonous things that just make me feel like I'm a robot and like I should be like I should just go outside and put away my computer or something. Like it's hard to actually describe like any sort of menial task that I'm like I could pay somebody $8 an hour to do. Like I'm not gonna sit there and do that. I refuse. Like I know how much my time is worth. It's very valuable. So is everybody else's, right? We just have to decide that it is valuable. So like I just don't want to do like the menial shit that like software could do or AI could do, or a very, very, somebody that's willing to sell their time for a few dollars an hour could do. I'm not going to do that stuff. So like I want to do things that have like a lot of leverage in it. So building partnerships or strategy or something of that nature. That's really where I thrive and what I love to do. But I mean, there's not like some specific thing that I'm like, I do not like this. Like,
yeah, makes sense. So for Neo Tokyo, you touched on SitCap. What there might be another answer to this question, so I'm going to ask it. What are you most known for, or for doing inside of Neo Tokyo?
I'm actually not sure. I think I would kind of need to ask everybody else that question and see, what they know me for. Probably networking, just because I was on that mission to meet everybody and chat with everybody and talk to everybody. So probably that. But I don't know. That I think that would kind of be a question for everybody else.
I would say, being on the SitCap team is pretty high up on the Neo Tokyo. I think everybody in Neo Tokyo, whether you're a regular or not, you love SitCap, right? So anyone that's on that team is probably high up on the list. But you're right. Your more recent interviews have been a hit. So that could be it. Those were fantastic. Okay, here's the hardest question, which is all over the place. Which one word do you want people to strongly associate with you? Now, originally we were going for like your specialty, like marketing, coding, whatever. But you can do whatever you want with that question.
This is the easiest question in the world: integrity. Oh, and I want to tell you why. I want to tell you why. My dad, one of my heroes, he was an attorney, and he had his own law practice, like I mentioned before, and he had a building. The building still exists. And one day when he was working, there was a drunk driver in the streets of New Orleans, big surprise, and they drove into his building, and they crashed into the side of his building, and a lot of damage, and the cops came and trying to figure stuff out, what's going on. He had cameras, and so the cops came into his office, and they said, "Hey, we noticed you had cameras. Do you mind if we take a look around and look at the cameras or anything else that you may have?" And he, without blinking an eye, without a second thought, was like, "Here are the keys to everything. Here are the codes to everything. I got, look at everything. Let me know what you need." He came home, and I was still in like high school or a kid or whatever. And he was like, that felt so good today when they came in and asked me that. And I didn't have to take a second to think about, am I about to get caught for something? Do I have to make sure they don't look into a certain drawer? Do I have to make sure to hide something? He's like, I had nothing to hide. And that was the very, 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 very best feeling in the world. And that stuck with me forever, because if we just do things the right way and treat people the right way and lead with integrity and honesty, then there's really nothing else that's going to stop us besides our own ability to put in the work or to, work smart and move forward. But I really believe like the people with the highest integrity in the long run are going to win. And even if that's not even if that doesn't end up to be the case, I would rather live my life in a way to try to test that theory, because that makes me feel really good at the end of the day. And I saw what happened because my dad and my grandpa and my grandparents and my parents, they all lived life in that way. And I saw what that did for them, and they slept really well at night. And a lot of people were at their funerals and had the best things to say, and they had a crystal clean reputation. And to me, that's really, really important, because I love to play long-term games with long-term people, and the kind of people that I want to play those games with are those people with the highest of integrity. So that's what's important to me. That's the one word.
I couldn't agree more. And I love that story with your dad. I agree. There's a freedom in having nothing to hide. That's one less thing that's on your mind that you have to consider before any interaction. And it's a good thing to have. Last question. Tell us something about you that others may identify with, hobbies, outside interests, something that someone else might share with you.
Yeah, so I've been playing guitar since like the 7th grade. Was in a band growing up in high school. I love playing basketball and ping pong, and played tennis growing up as a kid. I ski every year. Absolutely love the outdoors. Hiking is like hiking outside and like on a mountain, hiking a mountain, or just being outside in nature is probably my number one favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. And then second to that is competition. I love to compete. Super competitive. And recently I picked up pickleball. So make fun of me if you want, but I'll see you out there on the courts.
Get it. Annual pickleball tournament for Tokyo is coming next, sponsored by Ben Gothard TV. I love it. I think that concludes our interview, our series of questions. These recordings will be available somewhere online, and we will have some articles posted on the Neo Tokyo news site so everyone can get to know their community council and lead members. And that is all we have for today. Thank you, Ben.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.